So it's looking like there's good news for 40k Space Elves next year. Both Rumours and Games Workshop's previews are pointing to a huge Eldar release that's coming in 2022. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today we're talking Eldar, and in particular the news that they seem to be getting at least some decent kit updates in 2022. Great news for the faction that perhaps needs the attention most out of any. I think Eldar are a really good choice to update when Games Workshop do get a chance. Some of their sculpts for their older models literally date back to the last millennium. Particularly some of their Aspect Warriors and Phoenix Lords are some of the oldest sculpts in the game right now. In addition to that, the Craftworld Codex really isn't faring so great in 9th edition. I did make a video focusing on the Craftworlds a little while back, so feel free to search that if you'd like. But in general, despite all their powerful stratagems and psychic powers, it's just not quite enough to make up for their datasheets, which currently just seem to be a bit lackluster and overpointed, not really quite giving enough damage or durability for how much they cost to play in-game. So the fact that Eldar are getting a range update does seem really quite likely. First up, and perhaps most importantly, they were mentioned in that really big leak that's been accurate so far. The one that foretold the Black Templars launch box, the Genestealer vs Custodes Christmas box, and so far is still right on all accounts. They didn't really go into too much detail on the Eldar release, but they said it would be a large but incomplete release in 2022, though from their information, Games Workshop hadn't established the time frame themselves yet. To be honest, I'm not too surprised they wouldn't literally update every single Eldar model in the range. Even for the factions that have really big model releases, say things like Necrons for example, they still didn't get round to redoing everything. They've still got the old Locust Destroyers with the green rods on sale for example. Similarly for the Orcs, they did a good job of targeting a lot of the older kits in the army, say for example those old resin tank busters. With Eldar having such a massive range that needs an update, I'm not too surprised that literally everything isn't getting redone. Besides Howling Banshees and Dire Avengers, the rest of the Aspect Warriors and their Phoenix Lords could all kind of do with an update, as could the Avatar of Cain, Eldar Guardians, Eldar Rangers, and quite a lot of their iconic vehicles are also kind of showing their age. In any case, they're certainly deserving of a decent chunk of kits, to at least mean that a lot of their army won't be in resin. Otherwise, from Games Workshop themselves, they do seem to be going into teaser overload. We've already had a couple of rumour engines from earlier in the year that really looked quite similar to Eldar things. This control panel on the left looks almost certain to be Eldar, and I think there's a really good chance that these cross blades that look like they might be slung on someone's back might be an Eldar one too, though I guess that's not impossible to be something from Age of Sigmar. Most recently though, the thing that pretty much guarantees that we're getting decent Eldar releases is Games Workshop's new Advent engine. This is following on from what they did in previous years, giving us a little teaser of a new model every single day of the month. So far, as I'm recording this on the 3rd of December, we have 3 of them. And tellingly, the decoration frame around the little teasers is absolutely certainly Eldar in origin. We've got Spirit Stones and Eldar glyphs going on there. After the things that have been revealed on that Advent engine so far, on day 1 we got this lock of hair that isn't really all that specific. On day 2 we got this jet bike engine that we can see in the bottom right hand corner. That one's really distinctive and looks very similar to the Wind Rider ones. And then on day 3 we've got part of an Eldar gun. Without seeing the barrel or how big it is, this could be numerous different things. Though perhaps going out on a limb, I wouldn't be enormously surprised if this could be a revamped Ranger sniper rifle. It does look like it's got... The style of it is very similar to the Eldar Rangers one at the moment, and it does look like it's got a great big scope. Last time they did one of these Advent Rumour Engine compilations, I believe that the miniatures came out sometime within the next half a year or so. I believe we saw some inquisitorial things such as Kyria Draxus coming out before 9th edition was released. It seems very hard to believe that they'd want to wait more than a year since their Advent Rumour engines came out, which seems to pretty much guarantee this release for 2022 in my mind. As well as this, there's been some really interesting rumours on an Eldari 40k Discord server, who seem to be doing their own Advent calendar of Eldar leaks and posting them up once per day from someone who's apparently got some insider information on the codex. The disclaimer on the page says that it's third-hand information, and that the source is likely basing this on information from the playtested codex, which of course would come before the actual final book goes to print, so there's always the possibility of some heavier revisions before that point. It seems like they're going to be stringing out the information that they've got a little bit to draw more people to the server, but certainly looks like it could be good fun to follow along with, and I'll post a link to the server down in the video description. I'm going to guess that they're at least somewhat confident that these are correct, otherwise they probably wouldn't bother formatting them like this and drip feeding the releases one by one. Otherwise it would look a little bit silly if it all turns out to be fake. In any case, the things that they've shown off so far all do seem to be kind of reasonable. The first rumour being that Harlequin, Inari and Corsairs are all going to be drawn up into the same Codex Eldari. Now this will make for a very, very big book indeed if they're going to do the Inari, Harlequins and the Corsairs justice, but I must admit this isn't a change that would massively surprise me. Harlequins are a codex that basically only consists of 8 units, fairly decent support for a mini faction, but it does always make their books feel a little bit on the light side, and I really wouldn't be all that surprised to see them drawn into the main Eldar codex once more, as they used to be. Similarly for Inari, they seem to be a way that Games Workshop were trying to do something narrative with the Eldar, having Inid the God of the Dead rise, and some major shake-ups that caused the fracture of Bealtan, and a new and powerful Eldar faction come to the fore. They released that triumvirate of Inid kit a while back, but then haven't really done all that much more with the Inari since. I don't know if Games Workshop had big plans for them, and then just didn't get round to releasing any other kits for the faction. Certainly whenever I've seen any discussion about which armies should get more kits and support, Inari don't often tend to feature all that highly. A lot of people will prefer the support for the main Craftworld Codex to start with, never mind all the other factions in the game, or the other interesting bits of 40k lore, such as Renegades and Heretics, or World Eaters, or Emperor's Children. In any case though, if Inari and Harlequins are both being rolled into Codex Eldar, this would make the book a truly colossal one, at least if they're going to have any sort of similar stratagem support for things like the Inari and the Harlequins, and things like Warlord traits, relics, and some of the options that they enjoy at the moment. I feel like there might be mixed feelings for the factions if they do get rolled in. Some people will like it, some people will hate it, but I guess if it does happen, I suppose at least all the Eldar rules will be in one place, rather than scattered across multiple different books and expansions. Next up we have a rumoured list of kits that are going to be released. Most of these seem very sensible indeed. Apparently a female autarch with a fusion gun, shining spears, swooping hawks, warp spiders, rangers, a resculpt of Barahoth the Phoenix Lord for the swooping hawks, Guardians and Storm Guardians, Shroud Runners, a new Eldar Ranger jetbike unit, and a much embiggened resculpt of the Avatar of Cain. I must admit, as a starting list for revamping the Eldar range, this would seem like a very reasonable one if Games Workshop chooses to go that way. So many of these would just be great to have in new plastic. As we mentioned, the Aspect Warriors and Phoenix Lords are all kind of ancient, the Rangers are still in resin, and in particular a Storm Guardian kit would be absolutely great. The Plastic Guardians are kind of ancient, but don't look too bad by modern standards in my opinion. I think they've aged kind of well. But certainly the Storm Guardian kit, where you have to buy an extra resin upgrade kit to combine with the Plastic Guardians, that just seems like a right faff. I have seen the rumour of Ranger jetbikes on a few different places now, so it does seem that they're quite likely. And if Shroud Runners is their real name, it does feel like quite an appropriate one, going alongside their Wind Rider counterparts. It's pretty certain that new Rangers and new jetbikes of some sort are coming on those Advent rumour leaks. If we are seeing the Ranger long rifle and the jetbike ports, they could potentially all be the same model for all we know. Finally, the Avatar of Cain is absolutely crying out for an update. He's looked a little bit weedy and overshadowed by other racist monsters for a really long time now, and he seems like an absolute prime target for an update, maybe something similar to the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon, which gave the Necrons one of their gods incarnates, and an awesome centerpiece model for the army. The leak suggests he's going to be pretty massive, hopefully going to be able to stand up to the size of that Catan, and perhaps not looking quite as overshadowed by things like the greater demons of chaos. Finally so far, though I'm sure they'll have more for us, is the heavily disclaimed rumour that they might be getting a new box set against Chaos, perhaps a Chaos Warpsmith and Chosen, against Eldar including Rangers and the jetbikes. It sounds like that one's not entirely confirmed yet. I think Games Workshop are liable to shift that sort of thing around nearer the time. I think they often decide whether or not they want to release the kits individually or altogether a bit nearer the release date when they know what else is going on in their release schedule. It certainly seems plausible enough though. We pretty much know that a Warpsmith is coming from one of the rumour engine hammers that they showed off, and Chosen were called out specifically in that big leak, and a really good choice for a kit to add to the Chaos range as they don't have official models at the moment. Of course, as the authors of the post say, these should be taken with a pinch of salt. I'm going to guess that these are at least fairly accurate, though any specific details could be slightly mistaken depending on what information the person had got their hands on. In any case, let me know what you think. Would you be looking forward to a new revamped Eldar range? And what form do you think that might take in 2022, given that Games Workshop is giving us a hefty amount of teasers right now? If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, or I'll certainly keep these regular updates coming with any other news that we have of Games Workshop's news and releases. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that linked down in the video description below. If you are watching the videos a lot and you'd like to help keep them coming, any support is enormously appreciated, as it is what allows me to keep these coming quite so regularly. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.